If I'm going to talk about what we need, what is going wrong, I'm going to talk about solutions. Something that we can take away, something that we can actually act on. To begin with then, why is it that ilm is not having the same effects on us though we are surrounded by it? The truth is we are not learning from teachers anymore. Typically, and this is what happens, is that I might send out a text, for example, on a Saturday night. I might send out a text on a monthly program that I do in Leicester. And I will tell people, okay, come down, we're going to do a study circle, we're going to do a Dutch program. People text me, and they say, oh, Hafsa, we'll watch it on YouTube later. People prefer watching on YouTube. People prefer, we'll watch the condensed version later. People, they learn from Islam channel. They learn from Noor TV. They learn from all of these other wonderful channels that we have. People learn from the screen in front of them. What it is, and you have to understand that the way I was brought up, and this is not long ago, we learn from an ustad. From an ustad, you don't just learn ilm, you learn his akhlaq. Ilm without akhlaq is nothing. Shaitan had plenty of ilm, but he never had any akhlaq. So when you sit with a teacher, you are learning something more than just daraba, daraba, daraba. You're learning how to talk, you're learning how to communicate. In other words, you are learning from his suhbah. When you learn online, when you learn from YouTube, when you learn from your smartphone, there is no suhbah. The person on the screen, he is miles away. You cannot gain his warmth from him. You do not gain his akhlaq from him. In Islam, we do not take ilm from a teacher, we take his suhbah, his companionship. We learn his mannerism. The story of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam is mentioned in the Holy Quran time and time again. One particular beautiful story, a Sufi story, is mentioned in Surah Kahf when Allah made sure that he had to send him to Khidr alayhi salam in order to learn knowledge. I haven't got time to repeat the story, many of you will be familiar with this story. The instruction came from Allah to Sayyidina Musa, find Khidr and learn knowledge from him. After a difficult journey, Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam finally came across Khidr alayhi salam. Listen to the first words that Musa said. Allah had sent him to learn knowledge, but listen to the first word that Musa had to say to Khidr. He said, قَالَ لَهُ مُوسَى هَلْ أَتَّبِعُكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُعَلِّمَنِي مِمَّا عُلِّمْتَ رُشْدًا. Oh Khidr, can I follow you? Can I do your ittiba in order that I can find rushd and hidayat and ilm? Musa did not ask for ilm first, he asked for sohbah first. There is a famous story of a student who spent a long, prolonged period of time with Imam Malik, one of the great imams of our religion, the faqih of Medina, the great muhaddis, the author of the Muwatta. One particular student, he had spent 20 years studying with him. Later, some of the other people, they came to the student of Imam Malik, and they marveled and they kissed his hands and feet and said, Subhanallah, how lucky and privileged are you that you studied 20 years with Imam Malik. Please tell us, which books did you study with him? Tell us which ulum did you do, how much Quran did you do, how much tafsir did you do, how much fiqh and aqidah did you do. So rightly so, and we would have probably done the same thing, they wanted to know what they studied in those 20 years. Listen to what response the student gave. He said, books? For the first 17 years out of those 20 years, we never studied the books. We studied the akhlaq and kirdar of Imam Malik. We learned more from those things than the books. It was only in the last 3 years that we actually learned something. Students today, and my child now, my eldest now is 10 years old. We have a tutor, I go to parents' evening, I go to the school. And I don't ask in particular how is she doing in maths, how is she doing in English, how is she doing in geography and science. I don't ask those questions. The only thing I ask my teachers, my tutors, regarding Aisha is, what is her behavior like? What is her attitude to learning like? What is her mannerism like? Because I know that if her mannerism is correct, if her respect to the teacher is correct, it doesn't matter how many SAT examinations she fails now. I know that she has the foundation Later, the ilm, the data, the statistics can come into her. I want her to have the right attitude to that. You can't get that from YouTube. You can't get that from a translation. Even if I was to put a translation of Hidayah in front of you, believe me, you will not get through a single page. It's impossible. You need to still study it with an ustad. Usul al-Shashi is a great book on Usul al-Fiqh. I have done the translation of it, I've done the commentary of it, Qari Nizam knows about this. I still haven't published it, it is still sitting on this very computer here. And the reason why I haven't published it is because I am worried that if I do publish it, people will read it on their own without an ustad. And once you read a complicated book like that, without an ustad, the chances are you will be misguided, not guided. These translations are not really for ordinary people, they are for our ulama. So it is very important that we learn from a teacher. It is strange that we live in a world where we think it's the outer knowledge that we need only. Wallahi, we need the inner knowledge first. And we get that from the kirdad, we get that from sitting with a teacher. When you go to a masjid, when you send your child to a masjid, do not think for one moment, when you bring your child here to Masjid-E-Quba and you leave them here for 2 hours every single day, do not think that my child is learning alif ba ta. Do not think for one moment that my child is only picking up the faraid of wuzu. Do not think that my child is only learning Allahumma aftah li abwaba rahmatik. Your child, by coming into here, is learning the mannerism of the masjid. The adab. How do you sit in front of a teacher? What can and cannot do in front of a teacher? Can I walk in front of a teacher? Should I stand for a teacher? Your child is indirectly picking this up all of the time. That is why when they grow up now, they have respect for knowledge. It's the same with the Darul Ulooms as well. You learn more outside the classroom in Darul Uloom than you do inside the classroom. I spent a year in Pakistan in Darul Uloom Muhammadiyya Ghosiyya. I spent a year there. Wallahi Lazim, I learned equal amount in both inside the classroom and outside the classroom. Perhaps more outside the classroom. So the first thing is, please, whatever learning you do it from an ustad. By all means have the translations. That should support your learning. It should supplement it. It should not replace it. Always try to go to a physical person who can teach it to you. It shouldn't be virtual, it shouldn't be something over that phone. That is the first thing. Number two, I think there is a lessening respect for knowledge. You and I, the elder generation, we grew up, if somebody asked you for a pen and you threw the pen across the room, your parents would tell you off. They say, how dare you throw this pen? Noon wal qalami wa ma yasturun. Allah takes a qasam with this pen. Why are you disrespecting it for? We have respect for sharpeners and rubbers even. You know, there are some homes that even if they put the yellow pages on the floor, their parents would tell them off, don't even put the yellow pages on the floor. Don't even put the Thompson directory on the floor. Why? Because we respect knowledge. True, isn't it? Respect all types of knowledge. And remember that knowledge can come from a Muslim, it can come from a non-Muslim as well. Respect the pen. Respect the sharpener. Respect the books around you. And certainly respect the ulama ikram, the imams as well. This day and age, again, it comes back to the digital age. To a certain degree, I truly believe the fact that we have the numbers of all of our ulama ikram, it is lessening their respect now. We are showing less respect to the masjid, to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Show respect to the alim. When I say show respect to the alim, I don't mean kiss his feet or kiss his hands. I don't mean that, it means showing respect when you meet him. No. Respect his decision and fasla. This is what typically happens. And this has happened, and I'm sure that many ulama will share the same sentiment. Typically what happens now is because we are on the phone most of the time now, we are receiving calls. Typically somebody will phone up. And what would have happened is that in anger, a young couple, they had a fight at night. In anger, the husband, he utters the words of talaq, he regrets it in the morning, he knows that talaq has happened. But he phones up an alim and he says, okay, this is the situation, I was angry, tell me what is the fasla, tell me what is the fatwa, what is the hukam. Am I divorced now? In the back of his mind, he regrets it when he wakes up in the morning. He hopes that the Imam will give a positive response. The Imam, based on the Quran and Sunnah, gives the answer and says the talaq has happened, the divorce has happened. This is the fashla, this is the hukam. Respect these decisions. What do our youngsters do nowadays? Oh, Hafiz said that the divorce has happened. Khair, I've got the Alama Sahib number here, I'll bring the second alim. Maybe he will support my opinion and suggest that the nikah is still intact. He brings the second alim. The second alim also tells him that yes, the talaq has happened. Khair, I'll bring the third one. He brings the third, he brings the fourth, he brings the fifth, he brings the 50th until he gets an answer that he wants to hear. And most of the time that 50th alim is a bad aqidah alim. He is a khustaf. He is not from the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. He hasn't heard of Ala Hazrat Faiz Fadri Barelvi Rahmatullahi alayhi. And they get opinions from them. This is what I mean by respecting the decision of the alim. Nowadays, we saw this, I shouldn't bring it up, we saw this in the last Eid, is that the Imam of the Masjid, he makes an announcement and the people are saying, well, Ummah channel said something else. Moonsighting.com said something else. Nigeria said something else. Secretly and deep down, what is this doing? It is eroding the status and maqam of the Imam. And the Imam basically is just a carrier of ilm, is he not? He's nothing else. No alim has ever said, kiss my hands. All the alim is saying is kiss and respect the knowledge that I hold in my heart. We are not worthy of that. We are not worthy of that ihtiram and respect. All we are saying is actually show something towards the knowledge that we are carrying. So in every single way, please try to respect knowledge. This is the way that we can ensure that it actually benefits us. Number 3, Allahu Akbar, sheer laziness on our part. We will not go to the masjid, we want the masjid to come to us. We won't go to the Imam, you come to us. We won't go to learning to the Darul Ulum, you come to us. And the reason for this is because of the changes in mainstream society now. In mainstream society, we are unbelievably lazy now. It is no surprise that obesity is a major issue in this country now. We don't get up for anything because we know it is only a swipe on our phone, we can get everything on our phone. In Islam, if you want to learn, you have to leave your home. Our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Man kharaja fi talab al-ilm, kana fi sabilillahi hatta yarji'a. Man kharaja means nikanna. Whosoever leaves for the sake of knowledge, then he is in the path of Allah until he returns. What is our Prophet alayhi salatu wa sallam saying? If you want knowledge, you have to leave. You have to leave like Ghaus-e Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani, who left his home at the age of 6, never to see his mother ever again. You have to leave like Imam Ghazali, who left at a very tender age, and he became Hujjatul Islam because he left his home. You cannot become an alim sitting at home. It's impossible. By all means, order your food so it comes at home. By all means, order your shopping, your Asda shopping so it comes at home. By all means, order your clothes and your Eid gifts and whatever else so it comes at home. So please get up and go to the masjid. Because we are not making that effort, we are not making that mehnat, we are losing the barakah of it. The fasting, you should be going to the well never comes to the fasting. Musa alayhi salam, again the same story, he had to go to Khizr. Allah could have sent Khizr to Musa alayhi salam. But perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to remind you and I that how important it is to actually travel. By all means, sitting at home, you will get a certain type of knowledge. Will it be the same knowledge that Qari Muhammad Nizal picked up from Jami al-Karam? I guarantee you it won't be. Never. You know, tomorrow is bank holiday. Imagine, okay? By all means, it's a good idea. I am not promoting it, but I am not demoting it either. You might tomorrow evening want to go for a meal down a local restaurant. You might say to the kids, come on, let's get in the car, let's go for a restaurant. We want to go to a nice, proper restaurant so we can eat good food. 10, 15 years ago, this would not have been a problem. You wouldn't have any discussions, the car would have been filled before you finished the sentence, and you'd have a lovely meal on on Green Street or whatever else, or on these roads here. Nowadays, what do people do? No. We're not going to go to the restaurant, we'll let the restaurant come to us. Look, we can order, someone will deliver it in 30 minutes on a cycle. He will risk his life in order to get the food to you in 29 minutes. We can have the food at home. In the past, if you had a problem with your car, what did you do? You went to the mechanic. You left your car there overnight, you left it for an afternoon. He will do all the diagnosis, he will put it onto the ramp, he will check the oil, he'll give it back to you, give you the car keys, Allah Hafiz. Nowadays, and again, it's laziness, neglect. What do we say? We say, no, we won't go to the mechanic, we'll let the mechanic come to us. There are mobile mechanics now. There are vans that will park up on your driveway and they will fix your car for you. In the past, this happens all of the time, it still happens in a good way perhaps. If you wanted to know the results of a football game, of a cricket game, of a tennis game, you yourself would get up and go to the stadium. You would watch the game. Nowadays, Allahu Akbar, back to Sky Sports, back to BT Sport. Why on earth would you go to West Ham? Why on earth would you go to Tottenham? Let Tottenham come to you on your smartphone. True, isn't it? I'm not, look, sometimes it works. Sometimes genuinely you need to eat at home. Sometimes genuinely you need a mechanic at home. Sometimes genuinely you might need to watch a match or a game on a smartphone, on your tablet. With all three examples I ask, where do you get better quality food? Is it in the restaurant or is it sitting at home? It's in the restaurant. That same food, when it is delivered, it's not the same state. As far as I know, no 5-star or Michelin-star restaurant does home delivery. It would never work. If you want good khana, you have to get up, get out of the house, get in the car and go to it. By all means, I know that the mechanic can come to you, but if you want a proper diagnosis for your car, if you want to know what's really wrong with your car, what would you really do? You would go to the mechanic yourself. That's when you're going to get a proper test. There's a limit of how much a mobile mechanic can check your car on your driveway. You could do 1 or 2 checks. It's like the AA when they turn up when you have a breakdown. There's a limit of what they can do. By all means, you can have the game come to you. You will know which minute the footballer scored. You will know how many assists there were. You can watch it on repeat, time and time again. Believe me, it is not the same as being in the stadium and watch a goal actually go. It's a completely different experience. By all means, you can do the online learning. You can read the translation. You can look at the apps and you can try to read Bukhari Sharif on your phone. It's not the same as coming to the masjid and learning. It's not the same as sitting with a shaykh. It's not the same as enrolling in a Darul Uloom. You perhaps could have watched this later, but you've read Maghrib Namaz now. You're sitting here with the i'tiqaf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's house. You're sitting in good companionship. You're not swearing, you're not backbiting. There is 1,000,001 gunas you are staying away from just by virtue of being here, even if you don't understand a word I am saying. True, isn't it? People forget that. Sitting at home, you don't get that. So please, this laziness, it has to stop somewhere. Fast food, do it. Fast kapre, delivered, do it. But please, no fast Islam. That, you know, if you put crash course, imam courses out there, you're going to get car crash imams. Reality. Everything is crash course nowadays. Everything is trying to be condensed. Everything has turned into a GIF, into a 3-second video clip. You want to know what happened in the news today? We'll summarize it in one GIF you can watch on Twitter later. Allahu Akbar. Strange word. We are not going to do that with Islam. We're going to study it properly. We're going to make the effort. And we're going to do it in the knowledge, knowing that every single step that we take to the masjid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us a reward for it. Your reward does not start when you come into the house of Allah. Your reward starts when you leave your home. Our Prophet ﷺ said, but shall I not tell you, ألا أدلكم على ما يمحو الله به الخطايا ويرفع به الدرجات أو كما قال. Shall I not tell you the way that you can have your minor sins forgiven? Your darajat will be raised. And our Prophet ﷺ mentioned many things. One of them, he said, is kasratul khuta ila al-masajid. Several and numerous steps towards the masajid. The more you walk towards the masjid, the more reward you will get. So please, no laziness when it comes to that. Try as much as possible to travel, rather than welcoming to you, go to the wedding. This is the way to actually quench our thirst. The next point, this is something which has always been here, and this is something mentioned in the Quran as well. The small amount of knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, please act upon it. لِمَا تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. What is the point in knowing that you enter the masjid with the right foot first if you have never done it in your life? What is the point of reading, of knowing Allahumma ftahli abwaab rahmatik if you never recited it? You know more than you think. It is better to know a small amount and act upon it, rather than like our youth do nowadays. I want to know about every single aqidah. I want to know the name of the 12 imams. I want to know all of the conditions of Dajjal. I want to know the whole story of black magic and jinns. Please, that in its own place. Start with the simple things. Start with khana. Start with the adab in the house. Start the day in the best possible way. Eat with your right hand. Thank Allah. The thing which is nearest to you, eat it. Drink in free gulps. These are the simple sunnahs, please. Act upon them first. The problem is we have data, we have statistics, we have information. If you don't act upon it, it remains like that. Our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he used to pray, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min ilmin la yanfa. Allahu Akbar. Oh Allah, I seek refuge from knowledge that does not give benefit. You might think, well, hang on, ilm always gives benefit. So how is it that our messenger, peace be upon him, is seeking refuge from knowledge that does not give benefit? Imam Ghazali rahmatullahi alayhi, upon the sharh and the commentary of this hadith sharif, he says that yes, there are sometimes places and circumstances where you have knowledge but it never gives benefit. It doesn't, knowledge is detrimental, people say. It doesn't actually benefit. Sometimes the reason is that the knowledge, it is, the type of knowledge you are seeking is harmful for others. Things like sihr, magic and sorcery. Harmful for yourself. Horoscopes. There's no point in that. It wastes time, it wastes energy. And the main reason, the main type of knowledge which we should be seeking refuge from is knowledge that you do not act upon. It is better to know only a small amount but to act upon it, rather than trying to assert knowledge all of the time. This is not the example of our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This might come to us as a surprise to you. But there is a hadith in Mishkat Sharif in which Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he never used to do wa'az. He never used to teach. He never used to talk to his companions every single day. He used to take breaks. If he, for example, taught his companions on a Thursday, sometimes he would miss the Friday and start again on a Saturday. You might think, well, here is the Khatam al-Anbiya wal-Mursaleen. Surely he would have spent all of his time teaching. Why would he leave that Friday class? He would be teaching all of the time, certainly from his appearance and his kirdar there. But verbally, our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he never preached 24/7. The reason? He wanted his companions to go away and to put into practice first what he had taught. Once he saw that they were practicing what he had taught, only then would he go on to the next part. Start with basic things. This is how wuzu. This is the fazilat of this. This is the Quranic verse that I am teaching you. Memorize it. He would almost test them. When he was mutma'in, and certainly the companions, they were the best of all learners. So when he saw that they had accepted this knowledge, and they were acting upon it, most important, then he would go on to the next lesson. It is possible to have too much information. Information overload. So much of it that you don't have time to actually put it into practice. So it is much better to know a small amount, but you actually act upon it, rather than have an encyclopedic knowledge, but you don't have no idea about Islam. This, especially in the media, is the biggest problem. Because sometimes in the newspapers, sometimes on Sky News, we have so-called representatives of our religion, who dress in lovely Ted Baker suits, who look unbelievably smart and well clean shaven, and they can talk about Ghazali, as they would call it. They can talk about these great figures. They don't even know what time namaz is in their local masjid. They don't act upon what they know. They've done masters and PhDs on Islam. They call themselves spokespeople. They give the impression that we are authorities on Islam. They couldn't recite to you Dua Qunut by heart. These are the type of people we do not need to represent our religion and on the TV, in the newspapers and so forth. We need Ba'amal people. We need the people who represent Islam through their kirdar, through their akhlaq as well. We don't want mouthpieces who can talk a good game, but when it comes to actually playing it, they can't kick a ball to save their lives. We want people who are alim ba'amals. So certainly when it comes to ilm ourselves, the small amount that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, we should try to act upon it. The final point, this is the most disturbing and the most worrying thing. There is a hadith sharif, which Imam Muslim has recorded, and it's mentioned in Mishkat Sharif as well, is that إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَقْبِضُ الْعِلْمَ انْتِزَاءً يَنْتَزِعُهُ عَنْ قَبْضِ الْعُلَمَاءِ أَوْ كَمَا قَالَ. Near the end of time, knowledge will disappear. It is one of the signs of Qiyamah, that Qiyamah will only come close when knowledge has completely disappeared. How it will disappear, our Messenger, peace be upon him, explains in this hadith sharif. It will not disappear because libraries will burn to the ground. It won't be because everyone loses their internet connection. The way that the knowledge will disappear is because the great alim-e-deens of the past, slowly but surely, they will no longer be around us. They will pass away and there will be no replacement for them. There will be great scholars, hujjas, sheikhs, muftis, muhaddis-e-azams, no replacement for them. This is something perhaps we have less control over. Why? Because it is one of the signs of Qiyamah. Meaning that it will inevitably happen. But even in our own short lifetime, please ask yourself, and I am sure the Buzurg know this better, and certainly they would have noticed this trend much better than myself, is that there has not been a replacement. In our lifetime, Huzur Ziyadul Mabid Karam Shah Sahib Rahmatullahi Alayhi has passed away. There has not been a replacement for him yet. Hazrat Allama Shah Ahmad Nurani Sahib passed away. There has not been a replacement for him yet. Pir Ilauddin Siddiqui Rahmatullahi Alayhi passed away earlier this year. I cannot see a replacement for him. Hazrat Allama Ghulam Rasul Saeedi, who wrote Sharh Sahih Muslim, who wrote the Byanul Quran, unbelievable writer, passed away about 18 months ago. Believe me, there is no replacement for him. There is no figure living right now like Huzur Hashmi Mian and Madani Sahib. When they disappear, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them a prolonged life. Ameen. When they're gone, they're gone. There is no replacement for them. These people are disappearing, and the names I have given you, Allahu Akbar, they're only from the Indian subcontinent, let's face it. Those people who live in Somalia, they have their own local scholars who are disappearing. Those people who are living in Malaysia and Indonesia, they have their scholars you've never heard of. They're disappearing. Those people who are in Sudan, they have their own scholars who are disappearing. There's no replacement for them. In the Arab world, there has not been, and part there will never be a replacement for Imam Sha'arawi Rahmatullah, who passed away only 20 years ago. They are simply disappearing. There is no replacement. Do not think for one moment. Do not think for one moment that it's fine, Hafiz Sahib. We've got Pir Ilauddin Siddiqui Sahib on YouTube. It's okay, Hafiz Sahib. I found an old clip of Huzur Jalul Mabid Karam Shah Sahib Rahmatullahi Alayhi on YouTube. I found it online. Let's just watch that. It is not the same as sitting in the companionship of these people. If people have sat in front of Huzur Madani Sahib, they will tell you this. He's still with us, Hazrat Allama Safzada Habibur Rahman Mahbubi in Sufatul Islam in Bradford. 20 years ago, he taught us in Jamia Al-Karam, he taught us Hadith Jibreel. I still remember that explanation from Safzada Sahab word by word. 20 years ago. Why? Because you actually learned it in front of him. When you're in front of a real alim, Allah Akbar, you never forget it. My elder brother Ather Hussain, he's not with me at the moment, he's in Leicester. He met Huzur Ziyaluma Pir Karam Shah Sahab Rahmatullahi alayhi only once in his life. And he still every so often reminds me about that occasion. He remembers everything about that experience. It was almost life-changing for him as well. These great people, where are they? They're disappearing. Those great scholars that are still with us, please sit with them. Make the effort to go to their jalsa. The Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah still have some unbelievable talent up and down the country, in London, in Birmingham, Manchester. Please make the effort to sit with these people. Otherwise they are slowly disappearing and there is no replacement for them. To conclude the last points, inshallah ta'ala, and then we'll have some questions. Let's go back to right at the beginning. You said ilm is around us everywhere, so surely we should be being more educated. Let's look at the definition of ilm first. Imam Ghazali gives a brilliant definition of ilm. He says ilm is anything which brings you closer to Allah. Simple definition, we won't forget. Anything that brings the fear of Allah into you, reminds you of Allah, is ilm. If it does not bring you closer to Allah, if it doesn't say Subhanallah to you, it's not ilm anymore. People nowadays, they send videos to me left, right and center about supposedly Islam. Videos all of the time on WhatsApp. My storage, I get a sign on my phone every 2 days now which says your storage is full. Please start deleting data. You perhaps get that as well. But this knowledge is not making me saying Subhanallah. Most of the time it's amusement, bakwas, and it's entertainment. I'm not learning anything from WhatsApp. I'm learning from the books. I'm learning from faces. I'm learning from sitting with the buzuks. I'm learning from coming to the masjid. I can't think of one simple example that I've learned something from WhatsApp. The Eid season is coming up, and you will see this happen. People will send funny pictures to one another, which in essence take the mick out of our deen when it comes to the Qurbani. Stay away from it. If anything, WhatsApp is causing more problems in our religion. It's taking away from us. Ilm is something that makes you say Allahu Akbar. Makes you feel better. If it is not doing that, it is data, it is statistics, it is usage, it is info. It is a video, it is a clip, it is nothing else. It is only ilm if it brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything around you suggests that ilm is here, ilm is there, ilm is online, ilm is on your smartphone, ilm is here and everywhere else. Real ilm is only here in the masjid. Nowhere else. If you try to learn about Islam to the exclusion of the masjid, you are doomed for failure. Dawah man is the biggest example of that. Dawah man learned basically in his bedroom. And you know very well, the youngsters know how Qumran is. Real ilm is only here in the masjid. Come back to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make sure that each and every day that it is here. And I have to mention this. Maybe I am wrong, maybe I am not. Maybe you share my opinion, I am not too worried about that. Mental illness in our society is only a recent phenomenon. And mental illness has to be linked to attendances to our masajid. The more people are staying away from masjid, the more mental they are becoming. It's simple as that. Find me one buzurg who is suffering from mental illness. Those buzuks who always come to the house of Allah. It is only those people who never come to the masjid who are suffering from mental illness. Why? I'll tell you why. Because by nature, life in this country is difficult. It is stressful. It's always existed. It was difficult for my father, it was difficult for our grandfathers in this country. They had racism. They had bills to pay. They had parishanis. They had debt sometimes. Nothing's changed. We had it in the 50s and 60s, we have it now as well. So parishaniyan, difficulties, Heartache has always existed. But our buzurg, our fathers, every Sunday, every Friday, every evening, they would come to the house of Allah. As soon as you step in through the door and you recite Allahumma aftahli abwaba rahmatik, there's a beautiful sensation that comes over your body. You leave dunya behind you. For 20 minutes, even if it's only for 20 minutes, it's nothing but the akhirat now. It's nothing but sukoon. This is my first time here, Allahu Akbar. We had a 2-hour journey here. There was a amount of sukoon when you came into this masjid. I'm talking about this masjid here. You know the aram that you get. I felt it only 2 hours ago. So what does that do? Every single day you have your stress in work, you have your stress in uni, you have your stress at home. People, our buzurg used to come to the house, all that stress used to go away. Our youngsters, they don't come to the masjid. Jummah always we will do it on the campus. We'll do it in university. Our youngsters, as a result, they are coming to the house of Allah perhaps only 3 or 4 times a year now. No wonder they're going mental. You might have your own opinion, but I am putting a correlation, a direct correlation between mental illnesses and the attendances of our masajid. Our Prophet ﷺ made it very clear, the masjid is dunya free, stress free then. A person never feels stressed in the house of Allah. You only find sukoon and itminaan. Even if he doesn't do anything, he just sits in the car, Allahu Akbar, he feels fresher. Any person who has come out of itikaf, they feel energy inside, revigorated. This happens thanks to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There can be such a thing as too much information. Slow down. You know, our phones are always going off. When I was young, there used to be 1 headline per day. What I mean by that is when you used to watch the news at 1 o'clock, it was the same headline. When you used to watch the 6 o'clock news, it was the same headline. When you used to watch the 10 o'clock news, it was the same headline. Today, the media, for some odd reason, they want to change their headlines every 30 minutes. So you had this brilliant news or breaking news, it's been replaced now. You need to think about this news. Oh, you had news earlier about Donald Trump? Well, here's some news about what's happening in Mexico. Here's news about what's happening in Texas right now. Here's news about what's happening to Theresa May. It's just making us boggle, basically. Just inundating us. You haven't had time to think about the first news, and 30 other pieces of news are coming in front of you on your phone. You haven't had time to reflect and think about the repercussions of one news or one piece of information, and now there are 15 following you. This, I think, is bad for us. Take a small amount, but reflect on it. Everyone knew the same day that Pir Alauddin Siddiqui Sahib passed away, rahmatullahi alayhi, every single person in this country knew perhaps in minutes. Thanks to Twitter, thanks to channels, thanks to WhatsApp. Everyone knew, true isn't it? How many of us actually reflected upon his death though? We never had time to do that. We never had time to be silent because our phone kept going off. Which leads us to the final point. How smart is the smartphone in this day and age? I am not an old person in the sense that I want to say, on the way out, please put your smartphones into the bin. Smartphones are an amazing thing. They're an unbelievable assistant to our daily life. It is a compass for you, it is an alarm clock, it is a camera, it is a video, it is a learning process. It's a brilliant way of putting families together. Especially when you have family in India, Pakistan and elsewhere. It's a brilliant way of bringing the world closer together. But please know the limits as well. Simple communication skills we have lost thanks to the smartphone. We don't know how to use a compass or a map anymore. Simple instructions that we have to, talk to Siri or talk to Google in order to find it out. And we're not using our brain power. It is making us inhumane. Things for which you would get out of the house, meet someone, greet someone, talk to them, pick up the phone for, it is being replaced by WhatsApp now. How many people receive a message from Hajis going on a Hajj by WhatsApp this year? In the past, people would come to your house. Haji Sahab, मैं Hajj पे जा रहा हूँ, अगर कोई गुस्ताखी हो, please माफ कर लेना, हमारे लिए दुआ करना. People would come to your house. Now it's just a universal broadcast message that you send out to 150 contacts. Chahe gora ho, kala ho, you don't know who it's going to send to. I get wedding invitations by WhatsApp. I don't know what you feel about it, but I feel somewhat aggrieved by that. It kind of gives me the impression of how badly you want me to be there if you're WhatsApping it to me. Please know the limits of the phone, please try to do it. So our action plan is to reverse all of this. Try to respect knowledge as much as possible. Act upon the small amount that you do know. Learn from a teacher, please. YouTube and all of these other things, they can only supplement your knowledge. Go to knowledge. Don't let knowledge come to you. Go to a knowledge. In the knowledge that every single step that you take, it is actually rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Perhaps most importantly, like you have today, alhamdulillah, summa alhamdulillah, return to the masjid. The best people come from the masjid. The best friends are from the masjid. And I say this often, you look at my phone, I have 400 people's number on it. Not one single person is from when I was at school. I don't have a single person. I spent, I don't know, 10, 15 years in school. I don't have a single friend from my school days. All my good friends are from the masjid. Look at your phone later and you'll realize that yourself. The best people you meet are from the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And a lot of the good relationships that you establish outside the masjid are thanks to the masjid itself. However, you can come back to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ensure that ilm actually gets to us. Ameen. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ. Very quickly, it's 9:45 now, so I am on time. There's 3 books that I have brought along with my brother. Please, if you can, do purchase these books. A lot of my time, I spend very little time on the road now. I don't go up and down the country speaking.